Welcome, everyone, to episode 10 of the Hidden Dimensions podcast, where we look at those perspectives, values, and techniques that give data science its meaning in this ever-crazy, changing world. My name is Dan Richard. I'm a faculty member here at University of North Florida in psychology, and I co-direct the Data Science for Social Good program here at UNF. And I'm here with my co-host, Karthik.
Hello, I'm Dr. Umapathy, co-host for Hidden Dimensions podcast and the professor in UNF School of Computing and co-director for FL Data Science for Social Good program. Welcome to episode 10.
Yeah, this is this episode, the topic we're going to be talking about is kind of near and dear to my heart. I love our mentors. So we're going to be discussing the role of mentors in data science internships. And today we have one of our favorite mentors, Katie Bakewell. She's a data science solutions architect at NLP Logix here in Jacksonville, Florida. So Katie, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, great. All right. So Katie, you've been a mentor with the Data Science for Social Good program here in Jacksonville, in Florida, Data Science for Social Good. You've been doing mentoring for that. It's over 5 years. I think it's been like 6 or 6.5 years that you've been doing mentoring for our interns. And then also NLP Logix also hosts interns for your work there. And you've just been like such an amazing support for our students. And we see your good work all the time in the community as you work with community organizations and do social good work. So we're just really excited that you're here and happy that we can have a chat about this. So
thank you so much.
Yeah. So tell us about like, how did you get started in data science work? You started here at UNF, right? You were a stats major?
I did. I am a proud 3-time UNF grad. So I did bachelor's in stats, bachelor's in math, and then master's in math. And, I loved my time at UNF and tried to get as involved as I can. And I got really, really lucky, to be honest. When I started working in data science, it wasn't really a thing. It was just sort of starting to bubble up because I'm a little older now. But, we actually had the company NLP Logix, when they were founded, there were 3 owners, and they took on their first employee, who is my colleague, Ben Webster. And Ben and I had done all of our classes together at UNF, and they had him for 3 months and said, "Hey, are there more of you?" And he's like, "Yeah, I got to bring you Katie." And, I didn't really know what I was going to do with a math and stats background. I was looking at maybe teaching. And I got really, really excited because I got to join NLP Logix and really sort of figure out what I enjoyed doing. And I really got lucky in finding data science when I did.
So when you heard the data science term first time, was it when you were doing in UNF statistics work or only after you joined?
So after I joined
NLP Logix.
Yep, I had been working and doing statistics, and I really did enjoy statistics. But data science sort of allows you to use that statistics and make a little bit more of a broad stroke than what you can do with just statistical analysis. So it was really an exciting thing. I remember my stat theory class had 6 people in it. And the following year, when data science was labeled as the sexy job by Harvard, there was a wait list for stat theory. There was this overnight awakening of data science. So I really did get lucky in finding NLP Logix and getting started when I did.
Good. So now, your work is expanded into many different things. So is still more and more data science? How is the AI in your regular, if you take a 1 week of your job, do you see a split of data science and AI, or is it all same for you? How do you see as your work job wise?
So I think there's a lot of the work is really just data science. At the end of the day, we are using data to solve things. There's a lot more solutions that are becoming available that are truly just AI, where we're looking at somebody doesn't necessarily need to come to the table with data. But I think when you do bring that data in, you are able to build better solutions. So, I'm really excited about the growth of AI. But I think data science is the foundation to all of that.
Like some of the tasks getting automated and things like that. That's where you go into AI. All right, good.
And I think you've been with NLP Logix now for a while, and you've seen some transition. And as you mentioned it, like different tools are coming online, and it's very exciting. But in a mentorship role, I guess a lot of times you have to champion multiple approaches, multiple solutions, not just, I think sometimes in data science and AI field, we tend to have a favorite tool that we want to use. And so like we get that one tool and then we kind of go around looking for solutions that fit the tool. But when your clients come to you all, it's more the issue or the project or the question that the client has in mind helps you all kind of work through what's the best fit for the best fit tool for that.
For sure. I think the thing that's really exciting for me is that the client is determining what the solution is. At the end of the day, if there's not a business value, they're not going to pay us.
Right.
So we do have to make money at the end of the day. So, we have to be able to figure out how do you use all of the tools available to be able to solve their problem. And, a lot of the time, it's also sort of bringing back people, especially now with generative AI. Everybody's using, OpenAI, and they're going and they want their own chatbot. But they'll come and say, hey, I need a forecast. Can you build me a chatbot to do that? And we get to say, hey, look at the breadth of tools there are. It doesn't just have to be chatbots.
Right.
So it's really exciting in both directions to be able to explain to clients, this is what's available to you. But then for us, we also have to constantly be looking at new solutions. Otherwise, this is an industry where you go away for a week and the tools are all different.
Good. Yep. So it is good that generative AI is it bringing more people to your table, or is it good thing, right? In a way, if they are bringing in and allows you to have a conversation to show, I know you came for that.
Yeah.
But that's not the only solutions that's available.
For sure. And I think it's made it something that people are a little bit less afraid of. We've gone through phases of right at the beginning when I started at NLP, nobody knew what machine learning was.
Correct.
And we were out there trying to sell, hey, just give us some data and trust us.
Yeah, explain styles. Not easy. Yeah.
Watson bought out the masters. So all of a sudden the golf people knew about machine learning.
Okay.
But now, I can talk to my mom and she knows what AI is. And it's really broadened it to a much bigger audience, which is great. But
that's a very good point. Yeah. Nice.
And so you've been serving as a mentor for our data science for social good interns for 6 years, and then NLP Logix also invites interns. You all have interns and help them, and so what are some of the things that you've noticed, or some things that have been fulfilling for you serving in that mentoring role for these emerging data scientists, people that are kind of just starting in their career? What are some themes that you've seen, and things that have been rewarding for you, and some things that have been challenging?
So I have a really big passion for storytelling. At the end of the day, you have to communicate these results to people who are not data science people. And, I always make the joke to people, when I started at NLP, I had just finished a stats degree, was so excited about stats. That was really my passion. And I got on the phone with a person who was like a day trader. And I'm talking to him, and I told him that I'd made Bonferroni corrections on something. And he said, "You didn't use Bonferroni, did you?" And I said, "Yeah, why? What's wrong?" And he goes, "Oh, I don't care." And that was a really tough lesson that, I hope we can stop some interns from hitting that, where you have to be able to tell the story. So it's really, one of the things I find most exciting working with the data science for social good. You are working with nonprofits. You are working with people who are absolutely not in a technology field for the most part. And you have to be able to communicate with them. And I think it's really great watching the students go from that, here's my rigorous, computer science or stats to being able to truly tell a story. And it's so rewarding to see them do that.
Good. So, and you, as you mentioned, you've been mentoring a lot of different groups of students. So, could you give that idea for the audience into, it's not just the college students you've been mentoring, right? So, give us idea what are the different groups of types of students you've been mentoring over the years?
Sure. So at NLP, we have a boot camp that we do every summer. So I think we are in our 10th year, which is awesome.
Wow.
So it's a boot camp for high school students.
It is a boot camp where we take rising high school seniors in Duval County, and they come in and we teach them a little bit of Python, a little bit of Tableau, and they build a model, and then they get to present it. But what we really figured out is those presentation skills are so important. And I think data science for social good follows that same paradigm. You are presenting all the time. You have to be able to communicate this. And I think, it's nice to see that echoed in both places. But
it's high school students. And I think this year you guys working with St. John's County students too, right?
I think we have a couple from St. John's and then, Duval County.
Two counties this year.
Yeah, we're trying to grow it, but it's incredible to see the passion. I know when I was in high school, I certainly wasn't programming in Python.
Right.
And we get kids that are coming in and they are rip roaring, ready to go.
And those high school students get in the boot camp, how many weeks is it? Like 6 weeks? Or?
They do 5 weeks plus a final presentation.
Good. And we have attended many of those presentations. Those students stand on their own, and they are the one who's leading and presenting the whole thing. And I think 10 minutes for each team, right, to present the whole project, which is quite long for them. That's pretty good.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think also a fun story is like in some of the early years of our data science for social good program for college students. We had someone who had done the boot camp with NLP Logix as a high school student, and then they come to UNF, and then they're doing an internship with us on data science. And so that was like really exciting and fun. It's like, okay, we're seeing the whole, like we're just like supporting this person through their journey, through
Danish. And he learned a lot from you, and he mentioned those things too.
He did, and I just saw him on LinkedIn.
Yes.
Got a brand new position doing some more AI stuff, which is awesome. And I think
I think his company was bought by Circuit.
You cannot deny how awesome that feels to see somebody that you've worked with and watch them grow. It's just great.
So you mentor high school students. Then do you mentor the interns that NLP Logix hires, and what's the process there?
So usually we take on, I'll try and have one intern a semester that works with me. And then again, my partner Ben has one. And then we have a couple that work throughout client operations and through other departments. But, I do try and make sure that we have at least one intern on our team, and they are really, really great to work with because, I think when we do things like data science for social good or our boot camp, you're seeing them a couple hours every couple weeks versus, I get my intern this summer, Jack, is outstanding, and he's with me 25 hours a week and gets to work on all sorts of projects. And, it's just really incredible to be able to watch somebody grow and just be amazing.
So that when you're having a college students in your team, it's more intensive than a mentoring. It's like a coaching, full-on coaching of different skills, right?
That, and they teach us a whole lot of stuff as well. Again, as things are changing.
That's really a good point.
There's nobody has enough time to dig into everything every week. So we, take turns. We all get to learn a little bit. And, when you talk to college students that are passionate about this, they're so eager and they are so willing to really just take on as much as you can give them. It's like drinking from a fire hose, and they just really do well.
Yeah, that's very true for us too. I am, as much as I'm teaching, I'm learning a whole lot from my students, and particularly the senior project capstone course I'm doing. I'm learning a whole lot from each team's members working on those different projects.
It's like you increase the number of collaborative learners in the space, right? And so now we're all kind of learning things and sharing with each other, and that's an exciting part of it.
For sure. We've gone, we are sort of an unusual tech company in that we are all in the office. And I think with this type of work, it benefits us so much because I've got, if we're sat side by side, I hear we've got a little row of interns. We call it frat row. On frat row, I hear them talking all the time, and I learn so much just from listening to them talk to one another as well. So it's really, I think if I could encourage people to do anything, getting into mentoring and getting into, building up the next generation is really, really important. And it's beneficial to you as well. I think, people think, oh, I'm going to get an intern, it's going to be a burden. And it's not. They're fantastic.
Yeah.
I think more organizations should start interning and mentoring in the high school level itself, because it's so crucial for our field to get the early learning going on in the field.
So for someone like, let's say there's an organization, they're thinking, oh, maybe we should do some mentoring, maybe we should bring on some interns and work with them in this data science area. You've mentioned some of the benefits where everyone's learning, there's different perspectives kind of coming to bear. Are there other benefits that you would say that you would recommend for those organizations to say, hey, this is why you should get into mentoring? And maybe what about some of those challenges with doing that as well?
I know if you live in Jacksonville, Jacksonville is a secret hotbed of just incredible tech. And if we want more people to come and stay and work in tech in Jacksonville, if we want to see that grow, you are a part of that. If you're doing this, if you're mentoring, if you're bringing opportunities for students, you're helping us grow. We have major research universities. We've got UNF is amazing. We've got JU and Edward Waters. We've got great facilities all around. And if we don't nurture these students, we don't nurture those high school students, they're going to go somewhere else.
Right.
And I want to see Jacksonville be amazing.
Right.
So, we as organizations have a responsibility. You get to benefit by building up the city, and that's going to benefit all of us.
Right.
That's a good pitch and a good call for the other professionals in our area. So I know you also make time to mentor and participate with our hackathon events too, weekend hackathons. So is there anything we missed in ways you mentor and coach other people? Do you coach, mentor other professionals outside the things that we already know of?
Right now, no.
Okay.
So I like to do what we do in our group, and then the other volunteering that I'm really passionate about, which is totally not data science related, is doing guardian ad litem. So working with foster kids.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Yes. Great. But you also, you're just like that. You're an amazing person. We're so glad that you're just like doing so many great things in our community. And you also helped like spearhead the AI
Connect.
AI Connect events.
Yeah.
And so in a sense, it's kind of like helping the tech community and the data science community, the AI community really get together and share ideas and learn things from each other.
Yep.
And so, you've been involved in a lot of different things. So we've been saying lots of good things. I want to kind of circle back to that.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so what are the challenges? What are the pitfalls? What things have you seen where it's like, oh, watch out for this or watch out for that?
So I think there's a thing that I did right in the beginning of starting to mentor that is a real lesson learned, and it is trust but verify. Just because they did that first project fantastic doesn't mean you can give them a little bit more rope on that second project. You got to make sure that you are staying involved and staying actively participating in anything you're doing when you're taking on interns or mentors. I think it's really important to just be aware of that. We've been really lucky in that I haven't really run into any challenging students from a lack of passion. We've been really careful about the way that we take on interns. But, I know I've talked to friends that have run into that, where you get an intern and they're like just there to sort of check some boxes over the summer.
Face fillers,
Yeah, so we definitely take the time to interview people and make sure that there's somebody that really wants to be there.
Yeah. So good. So that's a good segue into the next topic we want to talk. So when you are recruiting interns, what do you look for? So I'm assuming you may look for different things when you're recruiting at the high school level and at the college level. So depending on your involvement, what do you look for with the interns?
So for me, at least, it's passion and the ability to talk to people. If you've ever seen me with Ted, he will introduce me and tell people that the first day I started at NLP, I said, I'll work here if you never make me talk to anybody.
Right.
And then the next day he made me talk to people. I haven't stopped since.
Right.
But, I think that's something that you can definitely teach somebody to do. But if somebody has that natural inclination of, you don't have to be super social. I'm not very social outside of what I do. But if I can get you talking about data science and you're passionate about data science, we can make the rest work. We can teach the technology to somebody, but the desire and the passion is something that you can't teach. So,
and you look for that based on how are they engaging on different questions and the topics, in the sense that you're not asking them, oh, show me how are you passionate about data science, right?
Yeah.
It is a conversational thing that they have to learn. Yeah,
I love when we do, I'm going to shamelessly plug UNF here. We, one of our favorite events is going to the CCEC Career Fair.
Yes.
Where you have students that are coming through and, we've identified a couple that have been really fantastic. And the other place, I think one of our best interns turned employee recently, he was on the second place team for the hackathon recently.
Yes, and he did programming competition. You're talking about Trey, yeah.
No, well, Trey and then also Ryan.
Oh, Mark Ryan. Yeah,
so Ryan actually, he joined us full time.
Last year hackathon,
and he was fantastic in the hackathon, and I gave him one suggestion, and he emailed me 2 weeks later and said, hey, I tried your suggestion, and this is how it turned out.
On the project.
And I was we have to have this guy working for us.
Good to hear that. Yeah.
It's that sort of passion. Hey, I'm just interested in exploring that. That goes so much further than any amount of, here's my 4.0 and my certifications. The passion's huge.
Neat.
Right.
Good to hear.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's kind of shift a little bit. You mentioned your passion for working with nonprofit organizations and working for social good organizations. And I think we heard recently that you're now a board member for the Nonprofit Center of Northeast Florida. So you're kind of like taking on that leadership role now with the nonprofit organizations. And so you've done a lot of work in that space. And so how do those connect with you in terms of like advancing data science and helping those nonprofit organizations?
So when I started talking to Don Lockhart, who's the CEO of the Nonprofit Center, about joining the board, she was explaining some of the initiatives they're doing. And one of them is the Community Indicators Project and bringing data to nonprofit organizations. I think whether they go willingly or kicking and screaming, nonprofit organizations will have to become data-driven. Being able to write grants where you are incorporating information about the community and then being able to measure yourself. You can either decide today, this is how I measure myself in a data-driven way, or you can get told how you're measured, which is never going to be correct. The finance people are never going to measure you in the right way. So I think organizations that are nonprofits that are taking that initiative now to define, this is our data strategy, this is how we measure ourselves, they're going to really thrive in the future. And, I'm just so excited that there's initiatives all across Jacksonville through, the city of Jackson itself, through, the Kids Hope Alliance is a group that we work with, and they really want to be data-driven, and they do so much to do that. And then working with individual nonprofits, we've got, a couple groups that we've worked with, and they really do work hard to make sure that they are doing the right things with data. And I think those are the organizations that will thrive. And I want to see every single nonprofit have that opportunity.
Right. Yeah.
So when you started working for NLP Logix, how did this, I know before initially it was the business organization, profit organization was the focus. How does the shift of doing both and the shift into nonprofit sector focus came into the play?
So we actually did some work with the city of Jacksonville. So back in the day, there was the Jack's Journey, which was our anti-crime initiative.
Correct.
And the board for the Jack's Journey said, we're sick of counting widgets. I don't want to know, just how many, but I want to know, are we actually making an impact with the programming that we're doing, and where should we put more programming? So we got hooked up through Rena to the city where we ended up doing some analysis for the Jack's Journey, and then that grew to working with the Children's Commission, which became Kids Hope Alliance.
Yes, I see.
And I think for us, it's never going to be the business that we would take on. We're not going out and trying to take over the nonprofit world. But at the end of the day, all of us at NLP are, I think it's 90 out of 130 of us live in the city of Jacksonville. We are passionate about the city of Jacksonville. And if there's a nonprofit in Jacksonville that needs help, we are going to figure out a way to do that,
Right.
And you also work with multiple sectors too, right? With the private organization, with nonprofits. How do you see the technology need for that nonprofit sector being different? And what's, from your perspective, what is the key catch, and what should they be focusing on?
So I think there's a couple pieces to that. I think when people look at data science as a whole, you start with descriptive analytics and just doing statistics all the way up to prescriptive and now the generative things. And for nonprofits, I think sometimes people hear and they think, oh, I've got to be doing this super complex machine learning. And honestly, at the end of the day, what you really need to do is be able to prove efficacy. You need to be able to do some, a little bit more robust t-tests. And that's what they need. And for working with organizations to figure out where do they need to sit on that is really important. And I think there's a technology challenge that a lot of nonprofits face in that because they're receiving funding from so many places, everybody makes them enter data in different places. And honestly, I want you serving the community, not entering more data. So figuring out ways that we can help in reducing burden. The technology burden cannot be the way it is for nonprofits. They cannot grow if their entire job is data entry.
Right.
So
good point.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned the nonprofit organizations that they're growing and they're learning how to access this growing ecosystem of data and data analytics and AI. So they're figuring this out, and I think they do need to be encouraged to say, "Hey, take a step. Don't let this be a stumbling block." But there are people in the community that will help them kind of make that transition. But another kind of interesting aspect, I think, for me is seeing as that ecosystem grows. So now we have City of Jacksonville, we've got the My Sidewalk initiative at the Nonprofit Center, is the interconnections, right, across nonprofit organizations, across different organizations within our city. The interconnections across data, we can start to see those happen. And you and I have participated in some of the forums that the Nonprofit Center has done, in Karthik as well. It's really amazing, like from a data science perspective, to start seeing the opportunities for those connections to be made. I mean, we start saying, the issues that we're having in health are connected to transportation, and the issues that we're having in transportation is connected to, these other areas. So have you seen those opportunities grow as well from an ecosystem perspective?
For sure. I think there's definite cross boundaries, and we're really lucky in Duval County. Most of the work that we would do in this space is focused within Duval. And within Duval County, we have this unified government where everybody is sort of a lot more willing to share data. When you look at other counties where you might have 3 different police departments, 2 different school districts, it makes things a lot more complicated. But Jacksonville, we get really lucky in that we have a very connected system and people are so willing to share data.
Good.
Yeah.
Good point.
So as you work in this space, how do you find that balance between being really passionate and interested in the statistics and the data, but then also kind of recognizing there's a human dimension to that data as well, especially when you're working with nonprofit organizations?
Yeah, I think you really have to lean on, the storytelling side of it. And I watched an organization, but this is back when we were doing Jack's Journey, and they had the best numbers out of the organizations that were doing the same work. They were fantastic, but they didn't know how to tell a story. And they had great stats, and they would go out and they would tell people these great stats. But then another organization had that qualitative side where you're going, and I think you really have to help organizations blend the two things together. If you just come at people with numbers, that's not going to work. You have to be able to have the, here's how I impacted this one person, and let me prove that I can do it for 50 more.
Yeah.
So, you have to have both of those pieces together. Otherwise, if you just go with the tech side, even if this organization is doing so much better work, they weren't able to tell their story and get funding in the same way that the other organizations were.
And even if you have the storytelling side, but then you don't have the data to kind of back it up, it's the same problem, right? So you really do need to blend both. You have to have both of those.
Good. So that's good. So I know now, back to this data science, AI as a field, it is now in a continuum, but some see it very differently. So what is the advice now, all of this students now entering into workforce? What is your advice to, in that sense of as a career, how should they view data science, AI, and that it's being a continuum now?
I think you really have to take a good look, and honestly, like internships opportunities, doing things like data science for social good are a really good opportunity to figure out what part of it you like. I think, we were joking about this before, the way that NLP as an organization functions, we split up our teams, and we have a team that deploys machine learning solutions, and they're sort of the ML ops side of the house. And then we have a team that I'm on that does proof of concepts, and we do, how do you solve a data science problem? I have all this data. I want to do something. What do I do? And, I thought that was the cool side, and everybody was going to want to be on that side. It turns out people don't all love that. And sometimes people really just want, give me a ticket. I'm going to solve this problem. And you really have to figure out, what side do you want to be on? And sorry. So if you figure out what side do you want to be on before you come into an organization, I think you can stop yourself from ending up getting into a role that really isn't right for you. If you tried to put me in a role where I was just, doing tickets every day, I'd last a couple months, and I think our students have the opportunity to go and test a few of those things out and figure out what do you enjoy doing. And if you're not doing internships, you can do things like Kaggle contests, or, there's government contests or hackathons through the school. But going and figuring out what part of data science do you like is really sort of pivotal to how are you going to make a career path in the organization.
Good. So whether you're going to go with the organization operations side of it, where you're just going to use the data and do machine learning and all of those kind of operations work, or you're going to be more focused on the creative side of the work, right? Or working with the different organization and coming up, solving problems, right? Data-driven problems.
Yeah, and the other side of it, we have an incredible client ops team that these things, models, once they're built, they have to go into production, and they're living, breathing. If the data changes, the model's not going to work anymore. And, there's totally a support side of this where, maybe you don't even want to do the DevOps. You want to do truly measuring stats, and you have to understand machine learning models, but you don't necessarily have to do it in the, I'm going to build a new one. So, I think there's just seeing all of the things that are available as positions is really, really helpful to students.
So that piece you're talking about is more of integrating the solutions into the client's environment, infrastructures, or what is it?
Integrating it there, and then also once they're in production, hey, next month, is it working as well as we expected? Or do we need to go back and change something?
So fine-tuning.
Monitoring, fine-tuning work.
And that is probably more important than anything else that we do. And everybody thinks it's super not cool because it sounds like, I'm going to be support and help desk. But it's really kind of the coolest work that we do. And it's the thing that keeps businesses afloat. I think.
So real impact in whatever the solution impacting the domain and impacting the organization, that's where the real impact is, right? The maintenance.
You see that the stats like McKinsey throws out, I think it's 15% of machine learning projects make it to production and stay there. And it's because people don't do things like that. It's because people don't support them. So
Very good point.
Yeah, and it's like protecting the value, right, of the work that was done. I mean, it's really intense work, really expensive work, and then when you implement it, you want to protect that investment, and part of protecting that investment is that kind of continuous monitoring, checking, fine-tuning. And you're right. I mean, that does take a sophisticated understanding of how the data is connected to the model.
For sure.
Yeah.
And how do you see the cloud environments? And is it involved for all of those kind of jobs?
So for most of what we do, we try and do everything in the cloud.
Okay, yes.
We have some organizations. One of my favorite clients, we deployed a random forest in SQL Server as a whole bunch of update statements because that was the only way they could get it done. So it doesn't always get to be in the cloud, but whenever we can, we try and be in the cloud. And, that means bringing in, a couple of heavy hitters on our side that really, really know the cloud environments because that's absolutely not my expertise.
Yes. Yeah, that's I would call cloud as a whole animal on its own.
Oh, yeah.
It's a beast. Yeah.
All right. So we have a chance to, you're here, you're in the studio, it's great. And we have a chance to kind of dream a little bit. And we like to have our guests dream a little bit. And so we have this question where we ask you, if you could dream a little bit, if you could say, okay, what would make your machine learning, AI life, data science life better? And you can't say like clean data always, like that's all of us want that, but we know it's an ideal that's never reachable. But yeah.
Honestly, I think it's organizations being more understanding and willing to try things in machine learning. And that means, how do we experiment? And, there's obviously things like, AGI would be great. I hope we get there in my lifetime. I hope I get to see some really incredible AGI. I love what OpenAI released about, their roadmap for AGI, and that's really great. But at the end of the day, I want to see data science projects get used. I want to see that 15% number not happen.
Right.
And it means organizations are going to have to be a little bit more, understanding about how are they using machine learning and being smart about their way that we're developing solutions and putting them into production. So I'd love to see, because there's so much benefit that people can have from using data science and machine learning. They just need to do it the right way.
So there's kind of like a spirit of exploration, right? And kind of like it's an investment. It's kind of taking some chances at times, but being creative and allowing things to like develop. And that's sometimes a difficult position for an organization. I think I'm thinking about our nonprofits as well. It's like sometimes tough for them to really jump into that exploratory space. And are there some perspectives that help that you've seen that help in organizations, whether they be for-profit or non-for-profit, that help them move into that direction, that move into that space?
So I think it usually takes a change maker, and I'm going to call out a prior podcast guest.
Okay.
One of my favorite people to work with is Lucy Chen from Cathedral Arts. And she is, Cathedral Arts as a whole is just an incredible organization. But Lucy is a change maker. Lucy sees this and she has a vision and she's open to, how do I make that vision work? What can I do? What are the tools I need to do? And she's done work, with us at NLP with Data Science for Social Good. And she's really, really just doing incredible things to support the community by coming in there and being a voice and an advocate.
Yeah, and I think it's what you're pointing out is, yes, it's a change maker person, but it's also the culture in the organization, welcoming those those change makers, right, and letting them explore that space and supporting them through that. And I think Cathedral Arts Project has done that. So to say, they bring in someone who's innovative, bring in someone who's a change maker, but then they support them as well to do the things.
Give them trust.
Give them trust. Let them do the things that they're really great at, and then you can see real benefit and real change.
So what I observed based on what you said, so the organization should focus on getting someone who's a change maker in their organizations, and it looks like, based on what you said, those change makers would have the nature to highly collaborate with many individuals, and they have the capacity to understand this AI, data science, it's a bit of an experimental trial and error process, because many will compare against software development, where most of their involvement was after the project has been scoped out, where things are very structured. Even though it's iterative, it is structured. Data science is iterative, but unstructured. A lot of experimentation goes on to figure out what is the solution I can build for you.
Yeah.
Right? Its contracting is very different. So understanding that is very, very key for a change maker to be involved in an organization, and that organization really benefit from data science and AI work.
Yeah, I will say I drive our architects nuts because they're going, why aren't you testing this? And I'm going, we will test this, but it's like, it's a time machine. You can't test a half-built time machine. We have to wait until it's all the way built, and then we test it, and it's terrifying.
For them, yeah.
You know, if you're part of software development, which is every step of the way, get your unit tests in there, make sure everything's going to work. Don't break the build is the number one thing. But data science, you do have to be able to go, oh, we might break some stuff real quick. We'll fix it though, I promise.
But we might break some stuff.
Well, the testing is very, very different. You trust but verify, but not you're verifying, validating per se. But the full-blown testing, the quality testing that most software developers think about, it comes way later in the stage, in the solution building ways. Yeah.
Well, Katie, thanks for being with us. It's such a pleasure, and I'm so glad we had a chance to to invite you to the show and get your perspective on things. You're like one of our favorite change makers, right? So we just enjoy working with you and appreciate all of your efforts for Florida Data Science for Social Good and for Jacksonville and the work that you're doing. So we just appreciate you so much.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you for everything you guys do. Genuinely, Data Science for Social Good would not work without the incredible effort that you guys put in. And I brag about you guys to everybody I talk to about data science. This is a thing that Jacksonville has, and it's because of these two guys right here.
But
it takes all other volunteers.
We have many mentors that volunteer their time, and you're one of those people. And so we appreciate all of those contributors, and our team has been really great, and we appreciate you all.
And for those listening, we are also volunteering.
Yes, also volunteers. But we see the value in the work, and that's why we keep doing it. So thanks for hanging out with us. Be sure and subscribe and like and follow us. Give us a question. Do you have any mentoring experiences? What are things that you've observed? Some of those like highlights and some of those challenges. I'd love to hear about that. And Katie, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.